Hey everybody, how we doing? It's your buddies Thor and Dude Man, coming at you probably the last time from Santa Monica, as I like to call it, Santa Mastica, because this place is incredible. This is the center of the communist movement, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure there's other liberal areas all over the place. I know my mother lives in Lawrence, Kansas, which is, you think Kansas in the middle of BFE nowhere, but Lawrence is very liberal. It's right by University of Kansas, and anybody who's involved with the university academia are usually in the same mindset as, say, a person in the medical profession. Most people are designed to protect what they have, right? They're gonna protect what they have. And academia, they worked hard to get into those universities to be able to, or college in that case. My sister is a professor at a college, not at the University of Kansas, some little dinky college up north. But I mean, you would think she was a professor of law at Yale or something, the way she carries herself so smugly above everybody else. And I am an art history teacher, and I tell you what good art is. My daddy says I can have whatever I want, and I want that art piece right there. So one of my favorite stories is my brother-in-law telling me that they went out as a couple. Him and my sister, well, he has since ran from that relationship. I don't blame him. It's too bad for my sister because she didn't learn from it whatsoever. But they went out together with another couple, which is a gal I grew up with, Megan, and her castrated liberal snowflake husband, Nick. And they went out to, because Megan is the professor, she's the one that wears the overall pants in the family, indeed. And now she actually is a professor of University of North Carolina. What is it? It's Wilmington, I think is what it is, right? UNC Wilmington. So anyway, and she teaches literary studies or something, English. So she's a very well-spoken girl. But again, she, like my sister, they're all caught up in an academia mindset where whatever the administration says is the truth, and they are higher learning. They're much smarter than you are. So who are you to question what they're saying? And if the head of the academia passes down some sort of knowledge, you are to accept it with grace and regurgitate it all over the poor, stupid masses. And that is exactly what that's what they're trained to do. Okay, just because you finish university doesn't mean you're smart. It means that you are very good at recalling things that people tell you to think. That's all university is, for the most part. Okay, some people develop certain things, like some people maybe study music in university and then they go on to start a band where they create their own music. That's a great example of somebody, or somebody who studied science and engineering, and they went on to start to design things for patents or to to create things. Same thing with like artists. They'll go there to study art, but some artists are able to break out and start creating for themselves. And I still have some friends like that. I actually have friends that are in our community of critical thinkers. I hate to say the truth community because not all of them are critical thinkers. Some of them are part of the fooled masses. If anybody sees my tank top here, people ask me about this tank top all the time. They're like, I don't get it. Like, so are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? I'm like, hello, both of them equal sheep. Anyway, it's amazing how many people can't put that together. They can't even put together a simple t-shirt. They can't figure out what it is it's trying to say, what I'm trying to express with it. So anyway, today I just I've had a few people reach out and they're like, hey, where are you? How come you're not putting up a video? I had another video taken down, and it's just kind of exhausting sometimes, which is what they're designed to do. I'm by no means am I going to let them wear me down. I'm in the process of moving right now, and I'm spending a ton of time. I'm moving about an hour south, so I'm driving a lot. I'm on the road all day, and I don't want to keep putting up videos with me driving because it's kind of noisy unless I come back and I get in there and take out some of the noise and stuff. So that's a little bit of extra work in itself. And so I've been a little bit, like I said, I haven't been on top of making videos for people, but I'm going to keep doing that. I got a lot of people asking me again about, my studies with, what separating the United States corporate citizen from the American national and what the importance of that is. And, I'll get into more of that in a little bit. I'll just finish my thought real quick, but this community of people that are quote unquote higher learning, right? Same thing with most of your doctors. They're not scientists. Don't get it twisted. They are not scientists in any way, shape, or form. They have studied something and they regurgitate something. So when they give you a diagnosis, what they do is they say, okay, in my book, it says if you have this, 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 and this, it means you probably have this, right? They're just making an assumption based off of a series of symptoms. So that assumption, one, it's not always right, and two, whoever puts the knowledge in that book dictates how people practice medicine. Same thing with teaching. Whatever the masters put in the book for the teachers to teach is what they're going to teach. It's not that these teachers had some sort of a revelation that they're like, 6 feet apart is the way to keep everyone safe, right? It's not that they said, chopping off your penis if you feel like you want to play with a Barbie is the right way to go. It's not that any of that took place, because that's not the way it happened. It's that somebody else at a higher level, and they're given that higher level because they take orders well, right? These universities are funded for a reason. The people that fund them are the ones that dictate what is going to happen in those universities. So I'll tell anybody right now who's thinking about saving and going to a university, or even taking a loan out and going to a university, save your goddamn money, okay? I wouldn't do that. I would learn a trade. Figure out what it is you want to do, and then maybe reach out to somebody who's already successful in that area and mentor from them for a while. Work for free for them if you have to, and learn from them that way. I have a good friend of mine, Will. He's working for one of our buddies right now. My friend is a multi-million-dollar real estate mogul, here in Los Angeles. And so he took on this kid for the whole summer. He's actually giving him like $1,500, which is great. He's a 22-year-old kid. He's not even done with school yet, and he wants to get into finance and learn how to make big money like that. And he's learning real quick that it is not a very enjoyable life for most. Your family suffers, and it's just constant on the grind. And I don't like it at all. I did some graphic design work for him, and he's just manic. He can't keep a thought for 1 second before he jumps over to something else. And it's just like the energy in there's just, whoa, I'm like, I'm much more, let's breathe. Let's bring our energy level down. Let's try to get in touch with nature, just be quiet. There's sometimes I'm all riled up, don't get me wrong. And, I do get riled up about people's health. I get riled up about the lies in the medical community. I get riled up about all this horseshit mass stuff that's going on, okay? And I'm gonna try to make sure I don't say any particular key words that might, get this particular video taken down too, because I don't like taking the time to do these things and then having them taken down. But I do want to cover a few things in here and just catch up with everybody and let everybody know you're not alone. You are not alone at all. There's a whole bunch of us out there. And if you take the time every day to say hello to someone else, eventually you're gonna run into a few more people. And before you know it, you're gonna have 10, 12, 15 people that you can get numbers from, and you can call these people and say, hey, did you believe this? Can you believe that that's happening? Did you hear about that? Did you hear, and then you get a network of people and you start your own little community. And that's the way this is gonna work. We can't stop the waves of the ocean with a 2x4. But you can start your own community, which is why I'm moving, okay? I can't stop what's going on here in Santa Mastica, okay? I can't make these people see the light at all. The place I'm living in now, the house I'm living in now, they're coming down on me real hard, okay? Because I'm not getting that, what. I'm not doing that. They're also, they're asking me if I am. And I'm like, that's none of your business. And I want everybody to be very, very clear here. When somebody asks you if you have done that, you tell them, I don't discuss my medical information with other people. That's private. It's always been private. Only in the last year is it now seemingly okay to ask people what types of medical treatments they're doing in their lives. Now, if you just take 2 minutes to think about it, you'll think how absolutely bass-ackwards that is. That's crazy. That is insanity that people think they can walk up to you and ask you about your medical, information. It's bullshit. And you need to set them straight right away. In a minute is what I was trying to say, but you need to set them straight right away, not even in a minute, like immediately say, my medical information's none of your business, Well, I want to make sure I'm safe. You say, well, you're perfectly safe. My immune system is perfect. Peggy from The Healthy American says, I'm fully immunized. I've used that before too. You know why? Because they're so stupid that when you say, I'm fully immunized, they go, oh, good for you. They don't think about even what you're saying, So, okay, it's another way, because I don't want to go through life lying. Okay, so when I went to pick up a butcher order, they asked me, and I said, I'm fully immunized. And like, oh, fantastic, come on in. Because it's gonna keep going. If you think that this thing's slowing down, you're sorely mistaken. For those of you who reach out to me and say, hey, this is almost over, just relax, you're sorely mistaken. My poor mother, who keeps telling me, just hang in there. You can see things are going back to normal. Listen, you go back and look at my other videos. I said it time and time again. This is not going anywhere. They just got started, okay? Just go watch some of these. You know what, if you haven't seen the TV series, what's it called? Utopia. If you haven't seen Utopia, go watch Utopia. There's season 1 and 2 from 2013, okay? They wrote this stuff a decade ago, and it tells exactly what they're doing today, okay? Go watch Utopia 2020 with John Cusack, okay? They wrote that at least 3 years ago or more, because they shot it in 2020, or they shot it in 2018, 19, and then it came out in 2020. So they had to have written it in 16, 17 at least, if not before. But again, actually they wrote it before, because it's, what am I talking about? It's word for word, scene by scene, almost the identical English version, I shouldn't say English, American version of a UK production. Utopia 2013 was a UK cast, and then Utopia 220 is an American cast. And it's the same stuff, same name, same plot, same everything. Okay, there's a couple little twists in there, but for the most part, it talks about them pulling the wool over everybody's eyes and getting them all to demand the you-know-what. So, once you understand that they've been putting the truth out there for a long time and telling people this is what they're gonna do, and they're gonna keep doing this, it's worked so well. Why on earth? They've gotten everyone to give up their rights. That is what every psychopath wants. They want complete control and domination and power. And once they have it, they're never giving it back. They're never giving it back. They're gonna keep it. But they only have power over the people that are United States corporate citizens. They only have power over people that consent to having to the jurisdiction over them. Okay, and I know you say, but I can't go into Ralph's, so don't go into Ralph's. It's really simple. Well, but it's my right to go and you know what? They have rights too, believe it or not. I mean, if you think of it clearly from a natural law standpoint, if somebody opens a business, even if they want to register it under a head business and call it a corporation or whatever, the only civil rights that are afforded to you are from the United States corporation. Otherwise, you go to common law, natural law, which is don't hurt anybody or anybody's property, and you're free to do what you want to do. Now, the only way to function under that one is to denounce the U.S. corporate citizenship and reclaim, it's called repatriating, because right now you're expatriated. You're not an American national, okay? I mean, you are, but your political status is permanently changed to United States citizen until you change it back. When I got my passport, it said, are you a United States citizen? I said, no. And then I attached an annex to it, which was an affidavit saying I'm not a United States citizen. I'm an American national. I do not follow your corporate charter. I do not fall under your statutes and codes. I follow natural law, God's law. You have no more dominion over me. Okay? If you ever seen the end of Labyrinth, that's all she had to say. At the end of Labyrinth, that's the way for her to get out of the maze and stop chasing around and stop being a victim to this evil overlord. All she had to say was, you no longer have dominion over me. And that's all you have to say, but you have to say it. If you know something about the way that this reality works, you'll know that they have the most fantastic, outrageous stories, like things that you're like, that can't be true. It's too way out there. It's just too bizarre. Like that can't be. Like really, they would use holograms, holographic planes in order to, are you kidding me? And again, I don't know if that's 100%, but what I do know is, as my friend calls it, the 7-Eleven, Matt, if you're not familiar with Matt, Quantum of Conscience, definitely go check him out on his channel. I really enjoy his perspective on everything that goes on. And also the incredible, unbelievable architecture, so I forget what he called it, but just unbelievable architecture. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, they have the most fantastical stories, just like this thing that's going on right now, where now they want everybody to mask up again. In Santa Mastica, today was the day that they said, all right, we're gonna put our masks back on. They said this like 3 days ago. So they're like, okay, on Saturday, COVID has conspired. We captured a COVID cell, and meaning like a terrorist cell, and they on 11:59 p.m. Friday night, they're going to attack. So at 12 a.m., we're all gonna mask up here in Santa Mastica. And that's what they did. Just like that, 3 days, boom, 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 bam, everybody puts their mask back on. You gotta have a mask to go inside. It's what? What are you talking about, Because the news is pumping this idea that now the cases are up. You don't see any of this stuff happening anywhere in the real world. If you're not watching TV and you're not plugged into the mainstream media propaganda, then you would have no idea. I had no idea until people tell me this stuff. I'm busy moving, so I'm not doing a whole lot right now. I hope to get back on track soon, but I don't follow any of this stuff because it's all ridiculous, 100% ridiculous. Okay. So anyway, just like my friends that are in the medical community, most of them, I would say, that are in the medical community, they think they're so smart that I'm just a freak of nature. What a conspiracy nut this guy is to assume that my administrator's telling me what's going on, and that this guy who's not a doctor would have any idea as far as what's going on. And again, what it is these people who have dedicated their lives to studying this particular religion, the religion of academia, the religion of medicine. And they're not scientists. They're not trying to critically think and make the best decisions based on their analysis. They're making a decision based on what's told to them. And one of my friends that comes to mind, he actually wrote a book called The Healing Before the Cure. He actually had lectured to other doctors about how stress completely relates to cancer because he's an oncologist. And he was mocked and made fun of because he said stress led to cancer. And then as soon as this thing hit, boom, now I'm the crazy nut. How could they possibly lie? And I'm like, dude, you just wrote a book on how they don't tell you the truth about stuff. You were ridiculed and now you're ridiculing me. So, and we still haven't really talked because he kind of wrote me off. I had another friend that's a nurse, he wrote me off. I've got a couple people, but I also have a very, very good friend of mine. His wife is a nurse, and I'm hoping to have her on here one of these days soon and have a nice long conversation with her. She's got some fantastical stories about how they're trying to manipulate her into getting the what. And she's not doing it. She's not going to do it, which is good for her. And neither am I. I'm not going to do it. So a lot of people have sent me messages saying, well, what about when they force it? What are we supposed to do when they force it? And first of all, they can't force it. They just can't force it on a free American national. Now, international law says you can be part of any club and you have to adhere by that club's rules. So if that club says, when you get in your car, you have to drive with no pants. Well, if you made a contract with this club to be part of that club, then you've got to take your pants off in the car. That's the rule. Unless you dissolve that contract. Like I said, when you talk about the Masons, the very first thing the Masons say, upon pain and death, you swear to keep the secrets of the lodge. Upon pain and death. So that means you're making a contract with them. I'm going to be part of your club. I'm going to accept the perks of being part of your club, because there's a lot of perks with being part of that club. Okay, if you don't know it, there's a lodge in every single city in the world. It is worldwide. And by no means am I saying they are the central power. You don't know who the central power is. That's how it's designed. The true Dr. Evil, you'll never know who that is. It's a group of people, and you don't know who they are. They live in alternate reality. You don't know, you don't have a clue who they are. You don't have a clue how they live. You don't have a clue how they function. Okay, they are in a different reality altogether. And I don't know how far it would go, but one of the gentlemen that I speak with indirectly through a group I'm communicating with, he's a pilot, and he talks about the whole other private air industry that we don't even know, where some of these rich billionaires and trillionaires, they have their own like C-130s, and there's a whole different way that they travel that's not anywhere remotely familiar to most people. And he said you would be shocked to know how it is that they travel and how things work for them. The places they live, you can never get to or see. You just won't get to it and see it, and the technology they have is unseen. It's 50 to 100 years ahead of anything we know of, which is why when they say, oh, there's an unidentified flying object. Yes, it is an unidentified flying object. They're being honest. So they tell you the truth, and then the 20% of misdirection is, it's alien, it's from the outer space. That's the lie. And that's where they get the fear into you. And everything that they do is based on fear and confusion. If they can get a human in a state of fear and confusion, the human will make a poor decision. That's just general psychology. That's basic. That's the basic low-level psychology, period. If you can get someone in a state of fear and confusion, you can get them to say anything, you can get them to do anything. And I know this firsthand. I have been in situations where I've said things because I'm fearful and confused. And then later on, I'm like, why did I say that? Like, that's not what I wanted to say at all. But we did it. Just like arguments. Arguments are usually out of some sort of form of fear. You think it's anger, but the anger comes because you're afraid of something. You're afraid of losing something, or you're afraid you're not gonna get something. You know, there's some reason for that argument. You know, even defending your pride, you know, you're afraid you're gonna lose your status in society by losing that argument. So you get more and more angry and you fight more and more, and you make bad decisions. You say things you don't wanna say, you do things you don't wanna do. I mean, look at how many people are in prison for, you know, reacting in a negative way to somebody they're in an argument with. They ended up, you know, knocking them out, and then they hit their head on the curb, and then they died, and then you went to prison for manslaughter. You know, that stuff is a common theme. So it's very important that we always check our anger, because anger can, one, it drains your soul, and two, nothing good ever comes out of it. You know, anger is there in case you have an emergency, and that's it. So every time we start to feel angry or upset, you know, I hear some people in the quote unquote patriot community, which again, I hate to use that word. I just call it in the, awakened community. And awake, by the way, was our word way before the powers that be hijacked the word awake and turn it into this douchebag word woke, and now spread woke. Just like Karen was our word first. We called people Karens, and then somehow through the media, they flipped it upside down. Now they made us into the Karens. So when we're not the ones chasing people around saying, take off your mask, take it off, how could you, how could you? We don't do that, you know, very rarely. And if you are doing that, knock it the fuck off, okay? Mind your own business. That is the key to this whole thing. We all have to mind our own business and only connect with people that want to share your company. Okay? If you're talking to someone and they're not listening, stop it and move on. Okay? You are degrading the value of your wisdom and conversation by talking to someone who doesn't know how to listen. Whether they don't know how to or they don't want to, stop. Don't give them any more of your golden energy. Okay? That's key. I will stop talking mid-sentence and they'll say, I'm sorry, what did you say? And I'll be like, I don't know, nothing, it's all good. Hey, have a good day, okay? I'll be pleasant, but I'm not gonna repeat myself. I'm not gonna start again. I'm not gonna say anything. I can tell pretty quickly when somebody, they don't wanna hear what he has to say. Oh, you're one of them, But I give everyone a chance, because you never know. 1 out of 100, you might strike up a conversation. They'll be like, you know what? I like what you're saying. You know, I agree with you. I think this is all bullshit, you know? And that's the magic right there. That's why we connect with everybody we can. You know, the real beauty to this life, the whole goal to this life is trying to make somebody else's life better. If you go around in this world trying to make other people's lives better so we flourish, then you're going to get rewarded, okay, in many different ways, okay? It's not about doing it so you get a reward. I'm just saying that's a byproduct of you being of service for other people. When you give to other people, you know, people see your energy. I've had a seismic shift in my life, you know, about 12 years ago. And there's been some ups and downs while I'm learning, right? But really in the last 3.5, 4 years, I have really changed my mind. My mind has been rewired, where I go out of my way to try to help people. And I just do it on a regular basis. And I don't do it for praise or anything like that. I do it because I know just deep down inside, it's been shared with me from other people that if I do that type of thing, then it's gonna come back to me tenfold. You know, and what I have found is people have shown up for me in ways that just warm my heart like you wouldn't believe. When this little guy had his knee surgery and then his eyes, people showed up, you know? People showed up and donated tons of money. I had people offering to help with him and, you know, babysit and stuff like that. And it was just really amazing how people showed up, you know? And I didn't do pet therapy with him for the last 8 years in order for us to get something back. You know, we volunteered for a long time just because it was told to me if I chose that type of a life, then my life would get better. And I remember thinking like, how? Like, but how? And they're like, it just will. You're just gonna have to trust it. And I'm like, well, why would I trust you? And they'll, you know, but I trusted people that I saw they had some sort of glow about them, some sort of energy, some sort of spirituality where they've connected with something higher than themselves. And I went, I want that. I want that peace. When everybody else is, oh my God, the news said this. You know, I'm like, you know, I hope it gets better for you. And I'm able to bring a calm sense to a mad world. And people see that. You know, I get people that come up to me and say, I really like the energy about you. And I'm always blown away. I'm like, wow. It's so, I'm not even sure what the word is. I know people say humbling. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it's, I'm a little embarrassed sometimes because I don't take compliments well. But when I think about it, you know, I need to tell them thank you. And that's what I've started doing instead of being like, oh, no, not really, you know. I thank them because they just gave me a compliment. So immediately what I'm supposed to do is thank them for taking the time and being humble enough, them being humble to give me a compliment. You know, so I need to say, hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate you saying that. So many times people will say, your dog is so amazing. What you do with him is amazing. And I'll be like, you know, it's him. And no, it's not. It's me. Without what I do with him, he wouldn't be the dog that he is. So I need to say, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. And then I pay it forward. When I see somebody do something that's amazing to me, you know, hey, I'm like, hey, you know what? You really got something special there. You know, that's great. I love what you're doing. No matter what it is. If somebody did a cool skateboard trick, I'm like, dude, that was rad, man. Really, really cool. Because they put a lot of work into that. Somebody sings a great song. I'm like, that's great. You know, so it's always about building people up, building people up. I try to change my language now, especially being a health professional, when people tell me some things that they've tried, instead of saying, nah, that's not gonna work. I wouldn't do that. Instead of doing that, I try to change my language a little bit and say stuff like, you know what might be a better, you know, thing to do? Even that, I'm not even sure I would use that. I would say, hey, you know what I've tried with myself that worked well with me is that I did this and this and this. That way I'm not saying what's better, because then that means their thing is less better. So, you know, and again, it takes practice. It takes practice. I got a friend of mine that's been kind of, you know, isolating himself since this whole fake pandemic started. And he's like, boy, I had trouble. I have anxiety now. I have trouble. And I'm like, you gotta get out. You gotta practice. He's like, yeah, but I don't know how to talk to people now. And I'm like, you just have to get out and practice. You just have to do it. You know, the first time you go up to do a comedy show, you're not gonna be amazing, most likely. Okay, very few have ever hit it out of the park the first time they go up there, but it takes practice. You do it again and again and again and again. Just like the therapist, on his first session is going to, you know, he's gonna be a little bit more raw around the edges. And once he does 3,000 sessions or 10,000 sessions, the guy's an expert. He knows how to talk to you, he knows how to bring your anxiety down. He knows what advice he should give you. He knows when he should just be quiet and listen. So we need to practice all those things too. When we practice them, when I practice them, then I see the benefits. I get better and better and better. Just like lifting weights, you know, which through my move, I just haven't been able to do. But when I lift weights, I see the results. If I'm consistent with it, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, there's muscles I forgot I had, you know? So you get the payback for the consistency you put into it. And that goes with talking to people. So even if you turn on your own camera and start talking to the camera to get used to looking at a camera, you know, everybody's like, oh, he's talking to me. He's looking right at me. I'm actually looking at a little dot on the camera, you know, and it's when you first start talking to a camera. I've been an actor now for, 23 years. So once you get used to looking at a mark, it gets comfortable. You can just talk to it. I just imagine that's everybody right there, and it gets comfortable. But it takes practice. So yes, the people in the medical industry, the people in the academia, the people that own businesses. You know, I talk to people that own businesses, and they want, again, everybody's trying to hold on to what they got. No, I'm gonna do whatever you want. Just don't take it away. Don't take it away. You know, and this idea that we need all this stuff, we gotta have a building, we gotta have fancy cars, we gotta have the best this, the best that, we gotta have me, turns people into assholes. It turns people into animals. They don't care about one another. They care about keeping what's theirs. And fuck you, I'm gonna keep what's mine. And that's a horrible, horrible way to live. That is why we're having so much trouble with this whole thing. Two people can't share ideas anymore because one person is scared they're gonna lose what they got, and that includes their life, okay? I'm not afraid of losing my life. Do I want to? No. But if it comes between right and wrong, I'm gonna choose right, because I know that that's my ultimate test in this life is to try to make the right choices. And the right choices are to help other people. The right choice is to really critically think about something somebody's telling me, to be quiet, think, pause for a minute, and then come up with a good answer. You know, to come up with a good thought of my own, not their thought, not parroting their thought, but a good thought of my own. And sometimes that means going away for a little bit. You know, maybe I have to go away for the night and come back the next day, or maybe 2 days from now. Maybe I have to say, you know what? I don't know about that, but listen, I'll tell you what, I'll go and I'll research it a little bit. I had somebody that I was working with that just insisted that there was nothing she could do for her lupus, right? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I know lupus pretty well. And I said, if we make some changes, especially to your nutrition, I said, I think you're going to find that a lot of things change. And sure enough, I went, but what I told her is, you know, I said, I will go and do a little bit more research just to make sure. And this was like probably about 6.5 years ago. And I said, let me go make sure that I know everything there is to know from the medical world about that. And sure enough, I pretty much had it, but I wanted to make sure. And we implemented everything I was talking about. Because then I came back and I could have a real in-depth conversation about her and this particular dis-ease of the body, okay? We always have to separate those two words. It is a dis-ease of the body. And our job is to get rid of the dis and just leave ease, right? So if you have a dis-ease of the liver, okay, well, what do we need to do to help that liver get rid of the dis and just be at ease? If you have kidney dis-ease, how do we get rid of the dis, right? And sure enough, we implemented all that stuff and she got rid of the dis and she has no more problem. Literally, I mean, the diagnosis is still there, but she's had 0 symptoms since I can remember. I mean, I've never heard of her having any more symptoms. But when I talk to other people that have diagnoses of, say, lupus, then they will tell me right away that there's nothing they can do. Their doctor has them on medication, and they got to protect their immune system. They're brainwashed into what the medical system has told them, and that's because they instilled the fear and the confusion. Once you instill the fear and the confusion, it's very difficult to come back. especially to trust somebody else who doesn't wear one of those white coats. You know, they did a study where they studied doctors that wore blue coats and doctors that wore white coats. And the doctors that wore white coats were like 30% more trusted than the doctors that wore blue coats. And then the doctor that wore a stethoscope with his white coat, I forget what the numbers were exactly, but it was like he was another 15% more trusted than the doctor that didn't wear a stethoscope around his neck. And then the real kicker at the end was the handsome doctor was even more trusted than all the other doctors. So if you're handsome and you have a white coat and a stethoscope, you are the king of the kings there in the medical field. But you see how they can trick you with, you know, ridiculous things like a coat. You know, they give you a coat and suddenly they have this power that you don't have any idea. Oh my goodness. You know, I mean, I know people who have come to me saying, I need to have a hip replacement. I work with them for 90 minutes and they're like, I don't need a hip replacement. I need to do what you're doing with me. I need more of that. Okay, I had an injury to my shoulder. They said I needed rotator cuff surgery. I had 2 already on this shoulder, but then when I injured this one, I went, no, I'm gonna do what I did on this one for the rehabilitation. I'm gonna give it time to heal and I'm gonna see what happens. And I healed it. It took about 6-7 months. It takes patience to let the body heal. Everything good in this world takes patience. Nobody has patience anymore. Everybody wants it now. They want it easy. They don't think there's supposed to be any emotions anymore either. If I'm feeling all pent up inside, then I need to take something for it. You know, I've got to have an antidepressant. And that's another thing that I've helped people get off of as well. Okay? There is a process you can go through to get off of that stuff. Whether it's cold turkey or whether you wean off of it. And again, I think it's real important that I say, I do in some cases, I work very closely with the doctor on getting them off of it. Because the number one side effect of coming off of antidepressants is suicide. So you need to make sure that all bases are covered, okay? And I just have them talk to the psychiatrist so that we can come up with a plan together and we can start working on it together. And if you have a psychiatrist that says you can't come off that stuff, then you need a different psychiatrist. Get a different doctor. If you have a doctor that thinks you should be on that stuff, you need to find a different doctor or a naturopath that can help talk to you about getting off of it, because nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. We are beings of emotion, okay? Our energy changes, and when we have these strong emotions where we think we just can't take it anymore, there are certain things we can do in order to maintain, our composure. And then we start to learn, once we go through some of these really, really high emotions where we're all stressed out, we start to learn, oh, you know what? I got through that and I was okay. Oh, I got through that and I was okay. I remember when he had his knee surgery, he did both knee surgeries. And eventually we're gonna have something coming out to share that experience with everybody. And it was awful, man, I was a wreck. I was a wreck finding the right surgeon. I ended up getting a surgeon 7 hours away. And then 3 months into that, his right eye goes blind. I'm like, what? All the guilt I felt that somehow, well, I did the surgery and maybe that's what caused it. And then I come to find out that removing his testicles is a big part of what caused him to go blind. And I'm the one that had his testicles removed. Stop cutting your dog's balls off and taking the ovaries out. Neutering and spaying is barbaric and it ruins their natural ecosystem of the body. We don't need to do that. If you're worried about pregnancy, they do vasectomies for dogs. They do tube tying for the females. You just have to find a surgeon who's intelligent enough to learn a different way of doing it, okay? So somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody had made a statement to me that critical thinking is the ability to think and make a decision after the initial emotion has dissipated. Basically meaning critical thinking is not making a decision based on emotion. Because when you make a decision based on emotion, it's rarely the right decision. And you mature spiritually, mentally, by delaying those decisions that are based on emotion. You hurt less people that way. That's for sure. You hurt yourself less that way. That's for sure. I would, for myself, I'm always listening to different psychologists and just, I shouldn't say psychologists, but the psychology of the mind, studying what different people have written about the psychology of the mind. And it's not that I'm getting my information from them and I'm saying that's what I believe. It's I'm hearing all these different people talking about human behavior and I'm going, I identify with that. Yes, that makes complete sense to me. Yes, I see why it is I'm doing that behavior and I see what I need to do to change that behavior. If I want it to change, I have to change. So many people want something different in their lives than what is going on at that moment, but they're not willing to change to get it. If you're 100 pounds overweight and you do nothing, then nothing changes. If you want to lose the weight, you have to make changes. If you're an angry person and you tend to fly off the handle all the time and hurt people around you, then there needs to be a change. And there's a process to go through that. If you want your dog to be this incredibly well-trained dog, then you have to change some of your behaviors. If you want your dog to be healthier, you have to change some of your feeding behaviors. You have to stop being so lazy about dry kibble. They're not supposed to eat dry kibble. And maybe put some extra effort into preparing some raw food for your dog. Learn how to prepare it and prep it, individually container it so that it's easy to give it to them and they're going to flourish having good food. So if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I think that's something that people don't pay attention to. Now here we are going into this new flu season, okay? It's starting now already. I honestly thought they were gonna give us a couple more months and flu season, it would happen again. But no, they're starting it immediately. They literally gave you like 30 days, maybe 60 days, at least here in Santa Mastica. Okay, in Santa Mastica, something you need to know about Santa Monica. Santa Monica is the home of, what do they call it? A biodiversity, sustainability, that's it. So it is the future of sustainability here in Santa Monica. It's their slogan, a sustainable community. I think that's what it is. It's something like that. And if you look up what sustainability is, you'll find United Nations Agenda 21. Sustainability is simply a code word for United Nations Agenda 21. Agenda 21 says private property, not sustainable. Private vehicles, not sustainable. Okay? Basically, anything private with you, the individual, the living person, it's not sustainable according to Agenda 21. That's the world they want people to live in. So first of all, we have to get out of there. We have to create our own communities. And I definitely encourage people to start doing that. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me, connect with me. I field calls all the time from people, 310-428-6644. I have an email, thetruthor@gmail.com and hotmail.com. The truth, the truth will set you free. So, and the reason I started this thing, the truth or, is this the truth or is that the truth? And I think it's important for people to challenge themselves every day. There's times I get challenged and it is tough sometimes to be challenged. But if you can get through being challenged and keep your cool and think about it, you're going to grow more and more and more. And eventually you're going to become the person that you were supposed to be. I know I'm a mile away from who I was 3.5 years ago. And I know I'm miles from the person that I feel like I should be, at the very least, you know. I don't know what it is I'm going to be, and I don't think I'm ever going to be to a place where I'm like, well, I think I've learned as much as I need to learn. Never. I don't think that's something that ever ends with this particular reality that we live in. I think we're always supposed to learn until our dying day. And if we're not busy learning, then we're not changing. And if we're not changing, we're not making things better, because you can always learn how to make things better. I'm constantly upgrading the way, you know, my desk is set up, and the way I train with him. When he lost his vision, I had to change. I mean, I had to change like a motherfucker. First of all, I had to stop grieving. I cried for like a month straight, and then I had to stop grieving and go, okay, this is not going to work. I can't be grieving. I have to make a change. So the change is, he's an amazing dog. Let's just go be an amazing blind dog, right? How do I help him be an amazing blind dog? And so I made a change. Instead of, you know, oh, I can't believe what's happened. It's, let's just be extraordinary. And that's what we do now, you know? So everything can change. You know, if you're in a bad situation, just start taking the steps to make changes. That's why I'm moving now. I don't want to be in an area where people are asking me if I got the you-know-what. I don't want to be in an area where people are constantly masked, especially since I'm hearing impaired and I have to read their lips. It's a nightmare for me to try to talk to somebody with a mask, okay? So I'm just going to get down somewhere else to a different community where there's more people like myself. So change is possible for everybody. We're going into another dark place, okay? But it doesn't have to be dark. You can still do what you want to do. You have to learn how the law system works. You have to learn how to remove yourself from the corporation policies and statutes and codes. If you understand that, look at my old video from last year. They said they were arresting people on the beach. I went, really? Let me go down to the beach. And I took my camera down there, and they rolled up on me and said, hey, the beach is closed. And I said, I have a right to be here. And they said, have a good day. They called 911 on us for playing volleyball without masks. The cops came out onto the beach and said, hey, we got a call from 911 that you're not wearing a mask. And I said, I'm not wearing a mask. And they said, have a good day. So if you understand who you are and what your rights are as a human, an individual, living person, not a corporate citizen, then you have rights that you didn't know you had. Okay, you don't need to go to jail to exercise those rights. You just need to know you need to know who you are first. And then once you know who you are, you'll know how to speak to the corporate policy enforcers. There is a way to talk to them to de-escalate the situation and to let them know, I'm not part of your club and I'm not going to be subject to your rules, okay? And again, this is God's law, natural law. So if it honors God, and I use God in a very general sense because it's just the way I call whatever this power is, and I don't know if it's one single thing or what it is. I don't know. Nobody knows. I don't care who you are. Nobody knows. No book out there is going to tell you who God is, but can't tell you how they built the pyramids. Give me a break. Give me a break. But I do share in the same common with Christians and any other religion, Buddhist, whatever you are, whatever Messiah you have, I care not. I know that we all agree that there is something higher than us that put us here and created this environment that we're in. And that environment wants us to do certain things and has given us certain unalienable rights. For people who are calling it unalienable, it's a banking term, okay? They put a lien on your rights. It's not unalienable, it's unalienable, okay? Language is how they fool the masses. You have unalienable rights. They cannot put a lien on your right, your freedom to move about, okay? Which is why I have a passport that says I'm not a US citizen, because I'm not going to be bound by the jurisdiction of the corporation. Anyway, there's more to learn on that. I would suggest people go back through some of my older videos. I'll do some more stuff as I get settled in my new place, and because it's just a little bit exhausting. But I just want to come on here and encourage everybody, stay strong. Don't get upset about this stuff. This is just our challenge. Remember, World War II, World War I, people had challenges everywhere, okay? And in some cases, they had to make some changes in order to navigate through what was happening, because they're changing the rules, they're moving the goalposts, so you have to be flexible and move too, That's why this idea that I own this home and this is my home and I'm not going anywhere no matter what. Why? Isn't the whole earth your home? For me, it's the whole earth is my home. So it doesn't matter where I'm at. Home is what I make it. Home is where I'm at. If I'm in Texas for an extended period of time, that's home. I happen to like being here, and I just need to, move my way down to somewhere else that I feel a little more comfortable calling home. But I'm not saying that's my permanent stop. I don't know if I'm going to stay there. But home is where you make it. So don't be upset about what's going on around you. Start looking for other options. Make a change. If you're not happy with what's going on, they want to make you put a mask back on, move somewhere where they're not going to do that. Get involved with other people that support you for the way that you think. Okay? There are plenty of us out there. And again, I can't say enough about, the energy that Miss Peggy Hall has with the Healthy American. I think it's important, to support different groups like that. And that's why I go and support that. And they're down in Orange County, and that's kind of another reason I'm going down there. I want to share my services with them. I want to do my private individual living person commerce with them. That way, we make a connection, we make our own community. And that's the way to do it. We make our own community. That's it. Why do you think the Amish have their own community? They know something we don't. They know about common law, They know what they're doing. So anyway, like I said, everybody feel free to reach out anytime. I love the comments on here. If you comment and you like and you subscribe and all that stuff, then it will circulate this a little bit more so that we can all connect with one another, and support one another. If you know somebody that has a business, patronize their business, help one another out, support one another in their businesses that they're doing. Stop going to these major corporations. I know people that want to go to Costco every week, and I'm like, why? Why not go to your little mom and pop shop? Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more, but support them. Stop supporting these corporate monsters. Support the ones that are going out of business. 2/3 of all restaurants are gone forever. Those are multi-generational inheritances disappeared in the last year and a half. The transfer of wealth is incredible, and that's because people stop going to them. People don't use them. So if you don't bring business in there, then they're going to go away. So help one another out in that way. Same thing with me. When I moved down to Orange County, I hope people will support me by coming to see me, because I'm going to do it with them. That's why I'm moving down there. So Dude Man and I want to say thank you, right, good buddy? Yeah, you want to say thank you to everybody? Yeah, they've all been really sweet to you, right? You're a very good boy. Can you wave for them? Here, wave. Wave. That's a good boy. Right? Wave. That's a good boy. He's a good boy. Knows his right and his left. So if you need dog training, definitely call me. If you need rehabilitation, healing, I do physical therapy-esque work, including, body work, anything you need. If you have any type of pain or any injury or anything like that, I do Zoom calls as well. I do Zoom consultations all over. So feel free to hit me up if you have, somebody telling you need a joint replacement. No, you don't. If somebody's told you that you have Cancer. Let me talk to you a little bit about that, okay? If you're not familiar with a book called Cancer is Not a Disease, it is a healing mechanism, you should read that book, okay? So anyway, I'm here to talk to anybody who, wants to converse a little bit and share a little bit about what I learned in my life along the way. So I appreciate everybody's time. If you made it all the way to the end, you are the special person. So thanks for your love and prayers. I know there are people out there that send me messages that they're praying for me, and I really appreciate it. And I hope to be back with you guys very soon, okay? Put your thinking caps on. We need them desperately. All right? See you next time.